While most of us looked skeptically at Ticketmaster with some of their shenanigans they've been pulling lately, AMC was like, that's a great idea. How can we implement some of these fantastic ideas to better serve our fans? You're going to find out on this episode of Bog Panda. I am Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything, and joining me as always.
I'd like to sincerely welcome all of you to Bog Panda and sincerely tell you that I'm Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram, and sincerely request that you perhaps subscribe to the Bog Panda YouTube channel, watch a few videos, give us a sincere like, a sincere comment, and sincerely check out some of our merchandise. And finally, check out Hard Dough, the world's shortest podcast, available as a playlist on the Bog Panda YouTube empire.
Empire, I like that. I didn't buy your sincerity, but I like Bog Panda Empire. Yep. Needs to play like the Imperial March when you say that.
Or a version that's reminiscent, perhaps.
A copyright-free version of that. Yes. So AMC, who of course barely made it through the pandemic, closed a number of theaters, let a lot of people go, is still struggling to kind of get back to where they were. Contrary to what people think, like Avatar was huge, but most movies coming out still aren't drawing anywhere near the crowds that they used to. Take a look at the box office draw, the top 10 movies, even now, this far after those initial shutdowns of the pandemic, there are movies in the top 10 that wouldn't have been in the top 30 with those kind of numbers before the pandemic. Avatar and the occasional other thing aside, you do have these kind of breakout moments in things, but one of the movies that's being talked about right now is a movie called Skidamarink, which I just watched over this weekend. Just saying it is going to make half the people watching this furious, because I haven't seen a movie really divide people like this in a long time, and I love that element of it. But that movie's made about $2 million, and that is one of the biggest movie success stories so far of this year, off of its $2 million box office haul. Now, to be fair, that movie only cost $15,000 to make and led to a bidding war. That's what is drumming up a lot of the attention. So the profit margin is gigantic there. But the fact is, $2 million is still a solid box office take right now. So AMC are kidding themselves, thinking that they're in a position to make any kind of crazy changes to their pricing. But you know what? They're doing it anyway. I have to assume inspired by Ticketmaster and their wonderful ideas on how these things go. AMC is now going to charge a premium for seats with the best line of sight to the screen. What do you think of this, sir?
So I guess kudos. If you're going to come up with a horrible idea, the least you can do is give it a good name. And they did that. They go sightline pricing, so that sounds almost legitimate until you kind of piece it together to go, wait a second, the last great democratic process where everybody pays the same price, you get what you get for a seat. Although now a lot of theaters you can reserve particular seats, but there was a lot of openness to it. But I think this is a horrible idea. I do think their marketing folks and PR folks have been working hard to kind of say, well, it's actually we're charging less for the seats that aren't good, and it's like we're doing this for the people. It's like, well, no, I think you're keeping that as base price, and are you going to the route where you're going to premium up, most of the seats in the middle, anywhere except the very front row and back row and all that, you're gonna dog people. So I think it's a bad idea, and it's very irritating.
Yeah, I think it's a terrible idea, especially I think it would have been a terrible idea if everything was still running smoothly for them from a business standpoint. But you're introducing this at a time where you're barely getting through your whole bankruptcy thing that's going through, and now you're going to drop this on people when things might turn around, because you have big movies like Avatar that are coming out right now. The new Evil Dead is going to be coming out, and a few other big things that are guaranteed to bring people in, just because they have a built-in fan base the way that Avatar and Evil Dead and things like that do, where people are going to come out in droves to see it, no matter what it is, even if it's terrible. People are going to go out and see
the next Marvel movie, Ant-Man.
Right.
Quantum is coming out soon, very soon, and so that's an opportunity. And then also just this process of um, you no longer, if you miss it in the theater, uh, you now really only go to see, at least for me, I only go to see movies in the theater that I'm saying I really want that big IMAX experience to take in kind of the nature of whatever it is. But other ones I've not done. But something like Megan, the movie Megan was out, looked interesting, but it's already available on streaming. You know, so the window of time from when something's out to where it's on streaming, if they don't simultaneously release it, has become so much shorter than in the olden days, kids, when the movie used to come out and you'd wait like a year before the DVD would come out and those types of things. You're going to get it on streaming pretty quick.
And it did. So for anybody who doesn't know, it, you know, maybe as recently as 15 years ago, it was a year, like a full year before you would get it. And then that gap started to close a little bit with DVD and Blu-ray. It started to get smaller and smaller. We are now at a point, even before the pandemic, where it would be a month. And now it's not even that. Most movies come out on a premium streaming where you have to pay an additional fee on the streaming service at the same time that they come out in theaters. And even if you're paying like Megan is a good example, I believe it was like $20 or something to rent it, but it's going to cost you more than that for 2 tickets and gas and snacks to go to a theater. So $20 is still cheaper, and that works out better for the actual producers of the film because they're not paying those marketing costs. And most of that money, so to use Avatar as an example, most of each of that ticket goes to the theater, not to the studio. So that's why a movie like Avatar has to make at least twice its budget back theatrically in order to make a theatrical release a success for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, now's not the time, one, just in terms of there was a great exodus during the pandemic, and folks started to come back some, but to Mike's point, they're not come back quite as strong. There are very viable alternatives if you don't have to see the movie the week it's released, that you can wait things out. I'm a big Marvel fan. Things just didn't work out. I didn't see Wakanda Forever in the theater. I would have loved to, but it just didn't work out. But I didn't wait a year, and I'm watching Wakanda Forever downstairs. So it's a good deal.
Yeah, most movies, even major Hollywood movies, are available at the same time for a premium. And the ones that aren't, it's a week or two for the majority of them. Maybe if it's a particularly bigger film where they have a deal with the theater, it might be 30 days. I know they did that with a few Warner Brothers movies and things like that, but that's pretty much it. The only exceptions are things like Avatar and the last Top Gun movie, which were, major breakout hits theatrically at a time when that's not really happening. So they did longer theatrical runs for them, but they're still coming out on streaming pretty quickly. It is nowhere near a year. It's a couple months.
Yeah. So when you have competition in terms of other ways people can consume the content, and you have folks that are a little iffy about coming back in the theater, my suggestion to AMC would be perhaps you should not be taking steps that further give reasons for people not to go to your theater, and maybe do some things to say, what can I do to bring more people in? Maybe reduce the prices, maybe do some other things to try and fill a few more of those seats up and to get more people going to movies. But I think streaming, the ease and availability of streaming, the quality of media rooms that a lot of times people have where they're not really even sacrificing anything to catch it at home. They're already in a tough spot. And I think a step like this is wrong time to try it. And I think their opportunity to try it's gone. They could have maybe pulled this off 15 years ago, maybe. But I don't think now's the time.
Yeah, it just seems like a terrible idea all the way around. I haven't been to a theater in quite some time. I was going to go to see Cocaine Bear, which is a movie that you were watching the trailer for earlier. I was going to go for that. I'm just going to wait now because it's going to be in streaming 2 weeks after it hits theaters at most. So I'm just going to wait for it. And the only movie I have plans on going to see in a theater anytime soon is Evil Dead 5, because I've seen all of the Evil Dead movies theatrically, even the ones that came out when I was too young to go theatrically. The first two movies I saw later screenings on 35 millimeter with Bruce Campbell.
Excellent. Very, very cool. Yeah, I think I might just read the Cocaine Bear book. I want to understand the subtle nuances of what was the bear thinking? How was it feeling at this time?
What's the bear's motivation?
Yes. But it's crazy. We'll include a link to the trailer for Cocaine Bear as well. Wow, it looks like quite a thing. So,
based on a true story.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they've taken some liberties, if I were to guess.
Yes.
Yes. It is a base. So
there was really a bear that ate a bunch of drugs.
The basis might just be, yeah, there's a bear. Okay, this is based on a true story. There was a bear.
Bears exist.
And from there they might have added something. Ate cocaine.
No, there were, so I read the real true story that it's based off of, which is basically just a drug smuggler really did lose a bunch of cocaine and was eaten by a bear, and the bear freaked out because it was on a ton of cocaine. But beyond that, this is a fictional movie vaguely inspired by that concept that really happened.
Yeah. Also starring a very kind, time has not been kind to him, Ray Liotta, which is, or the makeup, at least for, it appears Ray plays the main drug dealer who looks like he's sampled his wares quite a bit and has had a long road. So
Kelly mocking dead people.
Yeah. It's yeah. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.